This week on the Unpopular Opinion Show.
Black people weren't allowed to play in a sport. It allows us to do kind of what we do the way we do it.
Forrest Gump, Benny don't read. It was a scene that was cut out. Do you know any black people?
I love this.
Does that mean there's something wrong with me?
I long for the day where we don't have a black history. Oh my.
This is just one.
Ooh. Let me put on my tap dance shoes so the police don't kick down my door and throw me in jail.
I think you need to say clearly what happened.
Who gives a fuck? I don't care if he personally hit Candace Owens and her stanky
cray-cray.
No good thing starts with, I was thinking about my ex.
He ain't learned his lesson. That's a brother ain't gonna learn shit.
I know this is gonna be unpopular and I don't care.
Let's keep this shit funky.
Welcome to another episode of the Unpopular Opinion Show. I'm T-Storm, joined by not only my brother, DJ Mike Swift. What's happening, man?
What's happening, brother?
We are also joined by the spirit of Teddy Riley today. Thank you, brother Teddy, for all you do and have done and your influence on our production today. It was the pre-production setting up. My God. Teddy had his way with us today. Have your way, Teddy.
I earlier in the week, I watched a video interview with Damon Hall.
Okay.
The third, or arguably the fourth member of Guy.
Yes.
It was a pretty good interview. It's out on YouTube. It's Vlad, and they talk about, he talks a lot about Guy and how much money they had when they were on top of the world. And it's another one of those scenarios where everybody knows your name, your music is being played everywhere, but you ain't making no money, right? Like, I was like, wow. But it led me down a rabbit hole to investigate the third member of Guy, one Mr.
Timmy Gatlin.
I think it's Timmy Gatling.
Timmy Gatlin. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He wrote a lot of that stuff on the first album. He wrote a lot of stuff for like Al B. Sure, a bunch of people. So
yeah.
He got his thing, but he never got his shine.
Right. I saw that. I think I saw that same interview. I saw actually a couple of them. He's been doing the circuit, and he talked about, I didn't know he and Teddy Riley grew up together. They were.
No, neither did I.
Yeah, they were really close friends, really close friends, as kids and on up. And Timmy, I think it was Timmy's idea to start the group. I think he probably the one that came up with the name based on a boutique that they saw somewhere in Harlem. And allegedly, after Timmy says that Gene Griffin pushed him out the group. And basically got between him and Teddy, and he was a little sour, he's not sour to this day, but disappointed that, his friends, his boys, Teddy and Aaron didn't stick up for him. You know what I mean? So it's an interesting enough interview, and his story is very interesting. But yeah, Timmy's written a lot. I didn't know he did all the writing that he's done. I had no idea.
Yeah, that's when I went down the rabbit hole. That's what I was like, that dude wrote a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. But I didn't even mean to go down that rabbit hole. But you said the spirit of Teddy, and it made me think of that Damon or Damien. I can't remember. I think it's Damien Hall.
Yeah.
Interview that he did with Vlad.
He had an album out. I saw that same interview because he talked about his album that he had out at the time. His brother Aaron also had an album out, and his album at some point started doing better than his brother's, and the label's like, "You're not going to be bigger than Aaron Hall. That's just not going to happen."
Which when I saw that, I was like, "Yeah, that sounds about right."
Yeah,
you know what I mean. That sounds like label business stuff. Sounds like how they roll.
Yeah. And to his point, he's like, "Yo, you got 2/3 of Guy signed to the same label, Silas Records at the time. They like, it's win-win for everybody. You know what I mean? But that's
it.
That is show business.
To me, it means they had other plans.
Yeah.
They had other plans that they weren't saying nothing about.
Yeah. But hey, well, shout out to him, man. Shout out to the Hall brothers and again the spirit of Teddy Riley. So much has gone on in the past week or so, man. I don't even know where to begin. There's a whole lot to get to.
Let's do it like we normally do. Start with the heavy and work our way to the light, so we can laugh through the back end of the show.
Okay. All right. Well,
and to that we had 2 passings.
Yeah.
The great, legendary Hammerin' Hank Aaron passed away.
Yeah.
God, how old was he? 86. 86 years old. He for the longest he had the home run record. I think it was 715 home runs, career home runs. Who broke that? Barry Bonds. Barry Bonds broke it in 2007. But I think he broke Babe Ruth's record at 715. He finished his career at 755, and then Barry Bonds broke that in 2007. I don't follow baseball. I used to like to watch it with my aunt's boyfriend many years ago. So I don't know if anybody's broken that record yet, but he played most of his career for the Milwaukee and Atlanta Braves. He's an icon in this city, a business owner, philanthropist, activist. His baseball record stands for itself. I mean, not just the home runs, just all types of performance records that still stand. A great, great man, and it is a great loss for the Atlanta community and the world community. And just really to put it in perspective, he started his career with the Braves 1954. Baseball wasn't integrated until 1945.
Wow.
Right. So that wasn't that long ago. It's 2021.
Yeah.
Do the math real quick. That was 76 years ago that Black people weren't allowed to play in a sport. And this man comes in, 9 years after integration or something like that? My math is horrible.
All right. My math is just as bad, so
And
we'll both be wrong.
just be wrong together.
So friends are for. I got your back, brother.
But he comes into the sport shortly after it's integrated and dominates the sport. Dominates. That says a lot about perseverance. I mean, I can only imagine what it was like in the locker rooms. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Black America probably cheered him on. Big sports fans probably cheered him on. But I can imagine it was a considerable portion of America that was hot when he broke Babe Ruth's record. They were hot.
Absolutely. And you know what? You want to hear something scary? Those same people and their friends were just as mad when Michael Jackson broke Elvis's record. It's some years after all of that, right? So, rest in peace to Aaron Hall. Hank Aaron. I said Aaron Hall. Excuse me.
And it's great career, great life, or whatever. Look at the time frame: 76 years between integration of baseball and now. I think sometimes we get down about the state of the world. But a lot has changed in 76 years. I mean, especially if you just take baseball as a microcosm and look at it, right? So a lot has changed. A lot still needs to change. He was a forerunner in making that happen. Yeah, I mean, I saw that news. I was in the middle of a meeting and it came through on my phone, and I was in that meeting. I was just bummed.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, But you in a business meeting, you got to keep going. But I was just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then as we're mourning the loss of Hank Aaron, get the alert that Larry King passes away.
Yeah. That's he's okay, his career. First of all, I remember I don't remember Larry King before CNN. I know he was around and on news and doing things.
Yeah.
But I remember, I mean, that image of him with the dark set behind him and him leaning over the microphone with the suspenders is burnt into my psyche. So much so he just had a birthday back in November. We talked about him.
Yep.
About him and his suspenders. And then he passed away. I mean, what was he, 80? What was his age? He was 86?
He was old. Let's see, Larry King age. He was 87.
87.
Born in 1933. Started his career in radio in 1957 in Miami at a AM radio station. And I don't remember when he got into television, but he broke into television, was in television for 25 years. 6,000 episodes of his television show, Larry King Live. Thousands of interviews, thousands of phone calls. I saw somewhere they actually put a number on it. It was something like 30,000 interviews or something stupid like that.
Wow.
It's like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Interviewed every sitting, 30,000 interviews, including every sitting president from Gerald Ford to Barack Obama.
Wow.
That's insane.
Yeah. So he definitely left his mark. And, he was still doing TV more recently. But but it looked like it might have been either an infomercial or some sort of blog or podcast or so. I'm not sure exactly what, but it was the same setup.
He was doing an infomercial.
Infomercial, okay.
Yeah, he was doing an infomercial. He struggled with his health. He had been hospitalized for COVID in December, late December. So it hasn't been very long ago.
Wow.
I think he had a quadruple bypass. He had several issues with his heart. I want to say he had lung cancer, several heart attacks, quadruple bypass in 1987, diagnosed with lung cancer in 2017, angina in 2019. So yeah, he struggled. He also lost two of his children. He outlived two of his children, which is insane. So he lived a long, full life. He did a lot for media, whether people know it or not. He's kind of a character of media these days, but his style of interview, how he did things, was innovative when he started doing it. The leaning in over the desk that you mentioned, the intense focus on the guest and just letting the guests tell their stories, right? He had a passion for learning. He wanted to walk out of an interview knowing more about the people that he interviewed and for it to be entertaining. He believed that an interviewer was an entertainer as well. So he brought a lot to the industry that, hats off to him.
Yeah.
It allows us to do kind of what we do the way we do it.
Exactly. Very true. Very true. From heavy to light, from one old man to the next. Watching the inauguration of our oldest president yet, Joe Biden, and the first African American or first Black female, first woman and first Black female to be vice president at the inauguration, there was an image that people keyed in on and has taken on a life of its own. And that was of Mr. Bernie Sanders sitting by himself in his chair with mittens. He looked like he was cold and ready to go. And there's been so many memes and pictures I'd like to take a moment and finally do, by any means necessary, and share some of these images with you. Have you seen these yet, Mike?
I have not seen the memes, but I just right now Googled because I did not watch the inauguration. I was on the road driving to get some stuff done, but I'm now just looking at him in the mittens and in the coat, and he looks like a very cold, grumpy old man.
If you pay attention here, I'm just going to thumb through a few of these. They have placed Bernie somewhere everywhere. There he is with Chris Tucker on the set of Friday. We didn't know he was there. Of course, remember that time he was on stage with Destiny's Child getting a lap dance from Beyonce. Forrest Gump, Benny Don't Ray. It was a scene that was cut out. He was there. Of course, talking to Martin. Who doesn't remember this? Who hasn't felt this way? Your order has been shipped. Me. With the Bernie look. And of course, on the Star Trek Enterprise. There he is, Captain. Commanding the Enterprise on Star Trek.
Oh my God. Oh my God, that's hilarious.
With the original Breakfast Club. It's unfair what they did to Bernie and cutting him out of here. this one here. What is it? I recognize the image, but what exactly? I mean, this is just workers working on a high rise. I don't know what it's called.
It's a photograph. Oh my God. It's a popular, famous photograph.
And it's here in New York.
Please correct me. Yeah, it's New York. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but I want to say it was
Empire
when they were building the World Trade Center.
No, this had to be Empire State Building. Because
Empire State Building. Okay.
Yeah, because I can see Central Park in the background behind them. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But they're just up there having lunch.
Right. See this one here. Wait, go.
He was in Frozen.
Coming to America in the barbershop. The battle between good and evil on Star Wars now. There he is.
Darth Sidious.
And of course, you have to get your cookies. You haven't gotten your cookies yet.
Real talk, that's the realest looking one.
There's one more. I don't want to spoil it. I'm trying to get to it, see if it's there. This is funny.
Oh.
In between Jada and Will on the entanglement. Getting his hair done. With Deadpool.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Kids in the classroom going crazy. Teacher, I'll wait. Seen that. He was the fly on Mike Pence's head. This one tickles the hell out of me here. With Janet Jackson.
Stop it. Bernie wishes that was his life.
Yeah. There's one more. Oh God. I can see if I can find it because it's hilarious. Hold on. Ah, there it is. Nope. Wait for it. Hang on. Let's see if I can get this back here. Hold on. Bear with me, people. And this will be the last one. Who could forget?
No, they didn't.
The RZA.
No, they didn't.
The Jizza. Old dirty bastard. What happened? Inspector Deck. Wu-Tang. Bernie right there with the Wu-Tang Clan, son.
Bernie's album is going to drop next week. Oh my God, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh, people had a lot of fun with that.
Absolutely. Oh, what happened to my audio here? Hang on.
Yeah, I lost you.
How about now?
There you are. There you are.
Thank you, Mr. Riley.
Yeah, it's been a day. It's been a day.
Anyway.
So that's absolutely fucking hilarious. The mittens, there's a story behind the mittens.
Okay, what
they
is
were
the story?
made by. Say what?
What's the story?
They were made by one Gene Ellis, a Vermont school teacher. They're not mittens, they're smittens. Part sweater, part mitten. They're made from recycled wool sweaters. The lining is fleece made out of recycled plastic bottles or something like that. And she gave them to him when he was campaigning.
Okay.
She had no idea he was like, oh, these is the bomb. And he was going to start wearing them. So he wore them to the inauguration, and she sold out. All gone.
Oh, damn.
They're gone. Yeah.
Good for her.
People were like, I want them smittens.
Yeah, good for her.
She sold out.
Yeah. Bernie also took advantage of of these images. He started selling sweatshirts with the image for charity, with the proceeds going to a charity. And those have been sold. As soon as I saw it on the news, I was like, oh, I want one. I was going to pop up with it, right? But they're sold out.
I like Bernie Sanders. He was a little bit too far for me politically, but his heart was always in the right place. You know, he wants to do good things. He wants to do right by people. He's a hard guy not to like. And, I'm glad he wore those mittens. I don't think Miss or Mrs. I don't know if she's married, but I don't think Miss Ellis is going to make any more. She is sending people to Etsy to buy stuff from other people on Etsy.
Yeah.
But I mean, that puts some money in her pocket. You know what I mean? And now he's not mad about people making fun of him in his smittens. He put it on a shirt. He's selling the shirts and giving the money to charity. How can you not like a guy like that? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And, I have to work on my Bernie impression. I have to work it. I'm not even going to attempt to do it right now. I'm not going to, but he sounds like a bunch of people I've talked to before. Like, we've all heard the Bernie. We've all heard the Bernie, So, one of these days I'll just bust into Bernie. I have to get the Bernie and I get my Biden impression. I don't do impressions. I don't do impressions, people. They'll be the worst impressions you'll ever see. In fact, we may just have to call it bad impressions with T-Storm. So,
they all gonna sound Jamaican. Every one of them.
Or Irish, because my Jamaican sounds like the Lucky Charms guy. So
does mine.
Staying on the inauguration. So, which brings me to the first black woman to be the first woman and the first black woman to be elected vice president here in the United States. I had an interesting story with my 4-year-old. So watching, days after the inauguration, and I'm, talking to him about, because I have to show you the video where the Trump is a bad president, where that actually comes from. It was a conversation he and I were having last year, in which he said he didn't, Trump, it wasn't good because we have to stay in the house. We can't go to our cousin's house. That was his perspective. And Barack Obama was a better president. We got to get Trumpet out of that house and put Barack Obama back in the house. And I was like, yo, people, there's a lot of people that will agree with you. I won't disagree with you, but that's not possible. We'll have a new president. Hopefully it'll be Joe Biden. And he was like, okay, cool. So we refreshed that conversation and we talked about it again. And I told him, hey, we got a new vice president as well. It's the first Black woman to be vice president. He was like, really? Wow, that's that's interesting. It's a Black woman. Okay, everybody's Black. I said, yeah, well, wait a minute. He said, why is she a Black woman? I said, because she is. And, her parents, were Black and, and then it occurred to me. I was like, do you know any Black people? He said, no. He said, no. I said, really? You don't know any Black people? Again, this is my 4-year-old. He's 4. Sweet kid, very bright kid. He does it, do you know any Black people? No. Well, I'm going to introduce you to some Black people. Hold on. I picked up the phone. I FaceTime my wife. Picks up. There's a Black woman you can meet. Boom. He was like, wait a minute. She's not Black. She's not a Black woman. I was like, yes, she is. That's your mom. Go to mommy. She's going to introduce you to some more Black people. She's like, you want to meet a Black man? He's like, yeah, she calls me. He looks, he's like, you're not a Black man. Yes, I am. And your grandmother's a Black woman and you also are Black. He said, but I'm not Black. You are Black. But that's good. And so getting to, his understanding of Black is my t-shirt Black and our skin
correct
is not Black, which he is absolutely correct, right? But so I'm trying to explain to him, okay, yes, our skin is brown, but they call us Black people. We are African Americans. Our ancestors are from Africa, and I'm explaining them ancestors and all those different things. And got me to thinking, what is the appropriate age or how early should children learn, especially right now with Black History Month approaching, or if you're listening right now in February, we're in it. Happy Black History Month. And Black history is just American history, right? It should be. But how early should children start learning about Black history and race in this country? And I was able to get a couple of callers to chime in on this. And I forget the sister's name, but here's one.
Okay, so I think that's a great question. I think that children should be learning more about African American history as early as they are able to do the Pledge of Allegiance. So like first, second grade, because I think that they need to understand the struggles that come with that other side of that flag.
Yeah. Wow. So I agree with her 100%. So, and when she said that, it was like, wow. I remember being in elementary school and having to do the Pledge of Allegiance. And I remember not feeling okay about it. And I talked to my mother and my mother said, if you don't want to say it, don't say it. And so I didn't.
How old were you?
I mean, 7 or 8 maybe.
Wow. Okay.
And I remember, I would stand, I wouldn't make a big deal or a big issue of it, but I wouldn't say it. Right. So at that early age, I was already aware, but for the life of me, I can't tell you where I became aware. I do remember probably about around 9 or 10. Cause every year when you're a kid, they make you do the Black History Month book report. And everybody wants to do Martin Luther King.
Yeah.
I remember picking Marcus Garvey. And I had never heard of Marcus Garvey before. It was just one of the options. All of the ones that I had heard of, W.E.B. Du Bois, Martin Luther King, George Washington Carver. I mean, the usual suspects had all been taken. That was the downside of your last name. Starting with a letter later in the alphabet, because when they go alphabetical order, your ass is last all the time. Right. So I get down and Marcus Garvey is left and I pick Marcus Garvey. And I remember going home and telling my mom, and my mom was like, oh yeah, you're going to enjoy this. And she took me and got me some books, and I read like 2 or 3 books and put it together. And that's my earliest memory of learning about, because if you don't know about Marcus Garvey, he's of Jamaican descent, came to the US, was pro let's get on these ships and go back to Africa.
Right.
Bought the Black Star Line, which was a ship line, and he was moving people back and forth and trying to get out of this country.
Yeah.
He was known for his regalia and presenting like a military general, you know, or someone of high rank in the military. So it was his appearance, his stance at that time was considered to be very radical. And I remember being like 9 or 10 or however old I was at the time, and like, I love this. So I think that's my earliest memory of learning. And it didn't turn me into a crazed person, but it did kind of inform at a very young age how I moved.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, okay, I know something more than what they're telling me.
Right.
And I know it because I went out and found it with the help of my parents. So
yeah.
I think at the moment you start teaching kids, I agree with her. The moment you start teaching kids to pledge allegiance to something, you should teach them what they are pledging allegiance to.
Yeah. You know,
sorry, that was a big rant.
No. I mean, I think for me, I didn't think about it. Well, I grew up in initially a single parent home, in Brooklyn, New York. During the times, I mean, it wasn't the 50s, but you know, 70s, 80s was some pretty rough years for Black folks all over the country, and also in New York City. Let's be clear. I mean, New York is this liberal city or whatever, but you know, we also had Howard Beach happen. You know, Yusuf Hawkins was killed in Brooklyn, you know, in the 80s for being Black in a white neighborhood. You get what I'm saying? So, I remember my mother talking to me about it, but I can't remember how. I feel like I always knew. You know what I mean? I feel like I always, there was always something, you know, that informed me that I am Black, I am, you know, of African descent, and I have to be aware of certain things. You know what I mean? Maybe not as militant as I was when I got into my teenage years, but as when I was young, I don't recall ever feeling like we're all the same. I mean, one, we all were the same because it was just Black and Latino people in my classes, but the teachers were white. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
there was, I did notice the difference, and I do remember, you know, feeling like, you know, there's something different here. You know, my mom told me a story. Real quick, my mom told me a story when she was younger, that she always felt like what you said, a certain way because when they taught about Black people, they spoke about us, you know, like we were savages, and you know, and had to be enslaved basically, and brought in and were taught, you know, to work and all that type. And she said as a little girl, maybe at 7 or whatever, feeling like I look like these people in these books that they're calling savages. Does that mean there's something wrong with me? You know what I mean?
Right.
Remembering that as a little girl. So, yeah.
Yeah, we're going to get into the militant teenager thing because I want to know about that. But as I hear you telling that story, and I hear you talk about your mom and her feelings, and that feeling of just knowing, because my parents never sat me down and talked to me about any of this stuff. My father talked to us about Blacks in the military.
Okay.
Because he definitely, at that time, he didn't want us to pursue a military career. And I was all about it when I was younger, but you know, he wasn't trying to hear that. But do you think that the absence creates the awareness? Here's what I mean by that. When you turn on your TV when you were younger, you didn't see a lot of Black folks, right?
Right.
When you went to the doctor, you didn't see a lot of Black people as doctors. The bank, lawyers, there was an obvious upper echelon, for lack of a better term, place in this country, and there was an obvious absence of us in that place, do you think that that thing triggered in a young mind an awareness just because of the absence? It's like these two things don't make a lot of sense. How is this here and it's available and ain't nobody that look like me there, right? I don't know why, but it makes me feel some kind of way about what all of this is.
I think so. It makes sense. I mean, there's studies that, I remember seeing the studies, with young children and white dolls and black dolls. And they all ask the children or pictures of white kids and black kids. And they'll ask the kids, what does this child look like? I'm talking to the white, he looks like a nice kid. What about this kid here? He's like a bad person or whatever. And the preference between it would always go towards, most of the time went towards the white doll or the white picture was gave, and that was even with black children. So it makes sense that, as you said, the lack of did create, it's even subconsciously created an awareness to something. And and my mom was there having had her experience as a young child. I'm sure she kind of sculpted my awareness as well. You know what I mean? Because I remember, James Brown, Say It Loud, Black and the Proud. As a kid, my mom would play that record for me. You know what I mean? Records like The Young, Gifted, and Black. Music like, So in the arts, I would hear some sort of balance, because as a kid, you just, you saw the images that black was bad. Bad guys wear black.
Right.
Black Friday. It was, all these different things that subconsciously tell you that black is bad. And if you're black, you must be bad. On the news, you see, black criminals leading all the faces you saw on the news, like there were no other criminals in New York City or in the world. It was just, and then there were the terms, white collar crime. You know what I'm saying? Like all these different things. So even as a kid with no one saying it to me, it makes sense. And, I guess kids will come to some sort of understanding on their own. So it is important that you help to shape it some way, especially if you have black children.
I will freely admit I have not had that conversation with my children. And I will also freely admit a few things, actually. One, I would hate, I hate to sound horrible, but I long for the day where we don't have a Black History Month, where our history is celebrated right alongside everybody else's in equal measure. So it's not necessary to single us out and say, here we'll give you this, now go away, kind of thing. Because that's kind of how I feel. I felt
that won't happen
like they
until everyone looks alike, and everyone won't look alike. There'll always be something.
Well, I mean, do we have, and I'm just picking this randomly, and I'm asking out of ignorance, do we have a Chinese History Month that celebrated the way Black History Month is?
No, but Asian Americans were not enslaved the way Africans were in this country.
That is a true statement.
Enslaved and discriminated against, and there were laws specifically aimed at descendants of Africans and descendants of enslaved Africans in this country. That was not done to Asian Americans. They were discriminated against, don't get me wrong, but not to the level of what we endured.
So I always tiptoe in tragedy comparison. Right. So that's not exactly, my next statement is not doing that. My next statement is simply to say the treatment of the Chinese in this country was horrible, especially surrounding the building of the railroads.
Correct.
So I am no historian. I have done a little bit of looking into it over years, and it's been a very long time since I've done it. But I invite everyone to look up that information and do some research on your own. So I'm not making comparison in tragedy. I bring up that original question to say this. I think the actions on African American people in this country were super heinous, and to prevent a situation where you have a significant portion of the population who has been wronged and who are angry will give you this thing as a token to appease you. And I'm not saying it was a bad idea. I'm just saying thank you for that token of appeasement. Now what?
I mean,
what are going to be the changes and conditions to where I don't have to wait 11 months to see my people celebrate it?
I mean, celebrate it every day. That's one, within ourselves. But I mean, if you can eliminate a people's contribution to accomplishments in society, you can effectively eliminate them.
100%.
And so, the fact that a lot of the things that descendants of enslaved Africans accomplished, not being spoken about, not being in textbooks, not being celebrated, not even being acknowledged, is a big deal. As is Hispanics. You know what I'm saying? Their contributions, not just, just in general, not just in this country, but overall, everyone. So, I mean, it is another part of white supremacy to try to rewrite history and to erase the things that we were responsible for. The same reason why we see a white Jesus. You know what I mean? But that's a whole nother rabbit hole.
Yes. And I'm like, okay, because I love numbers. I love data. I like putting things into perspective, a tangible thing. Slavery was, the 13th Amendment was ratified in 1865. That was 156 years ago.
Okay.
That wasn't that long ago.
Not at all. Not at all.
Betty Wright just turned 99.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Right. So
the fact that you can trace back in your own lineage, you can trace back to, you said your parents were born here, and they're Jamaican, but they're born here.
My parents were born here. My mother's side is born in Jamaica.
Okay.
My mother's father, I think. Yeah.
So on your father's side, but even the Jamaican side, you can trace back to slavery.
Yep.
You can trace back to enslaved Africans in Jamaica within your, and not that long ago. You can find out their name. You know what I mean? It needs to, there is a sentiment that we always often hear from certain white people, and that says get over it. But that same sentiment is not get over it when it comes to the Holocaust, which was also a horrible thing. Yeah. Again, that's a whole nother rabbit hole.
Okay, so I'm going to say something about that, and then, but before I do that, just more data and mathematics to put it in perspective. The Civil Rights Act was established in 1964. That was only 57 years ago.
Yeah.
It wasn't that long ago.
No, not at all.
Right? So, okay. Yeah.
Look, listen.
When people say get over it, I'm like, I think you would probably need to put a little more time on that, bro.
Yeah.
But Patrice O'Neal, and I've said on the show a number of times how much I love Patrice O'Neal. Rest his soul.
Rest in peace. Yeah.
Listening to that brother changed my life drastically and dramatically. He had a theory about that. And I'll link to it below if I can find it, but I encourage people to find it on their own. I always say that because information when you find it on your own sticks better than when someone gives it to you. He's for the people who suffered in the Holocaust, for the Jewish people. Mm-hmm. They had a villain. It was a guy or a group of guys like Hitler, Mendel, right? Right. And when you got those guys, you got the bad guy. Hmm. For African Americans, there was no guy. There was no one guy.
Right.
Right. It was just like a complicit system.
It's a whole system.
And we still live in the complicit system. It's like, all right. We'll accept that you're 3/5 of a person, not quite a whole person. Mm. All right. We'll write something down on a piece of paper that says you have rights. But we'll have to revisit that every few years because it's not a part of this system now that you are a whole person. You have all of your rights and everything. All right. We'll get rid of slavery, except for in the prison system. Now, if you're in the prison system, we're going to allow that. And look at the high number of people who are African-American males who are in the prison system. And that didn't just happen in the 90s. That happened shortly after all of that stuff happened, right? After all these acts were signed. So, right. Again, no historian, but
something my mother pointed to, what they call you a vagabond, or why you have to walk around with ID. Because if you were caught on the streets without your papers, they would just lock you up. And that still goes on to this day.
And that's still a thing. You can be, I think in Georgia, and when I was young, this was the thing. I don't know if it's still a thing, but in Fulton County, you could be held for up to 48 hours in jail if you were stopped without ID.
And they didn't do that to white folks.
Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Anyway.
So, in any case, for folks who are watching and listening, we love to get your opinions on this. Hit us up on Instagram. You can actually record a message for us, or just tag us in a comment at Unpopin Show. That's on Instagram, Facebook. And or you can email us unpopinshow@gmail.com. That's UP. Matter of fact, you just look at that right there. You see it? There you go. And
it's down. Just scroll down and it's down there.
Yeah. And you can chime in on the conversation. We'd love to get some more opinions on this. Shifting gears. There was something else because the internets are so fun. There was a thing. Are you familiar with the Busset Challenge, Mike?
Yes. I've seen a few of those. I don't know the Busset song. I'm like, who is this? Another song. It's doing this show has made me realize how absolutely old and out of touch I am. I'm gonna have to break out my club clothes and go to the club just so I can get back in on what's happening in the world.
Yeah, it's a song. I can be honest. I don't know the name of the artist that made the song. It's a pretty decent song. She's sampled. It's a woman. It's a girl that made the record, sampling Nelly's. I think my butt's getting big from "It's Getting Hot in Here" from that record.
Yep.
I'm going to. I'm gonna share a few things. Let's see. For those who haven't seen it.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Oh my.
This is just one.
Book of Revelation, chapter 7, verses 16 and 17. Yes, sir. They shall hunger no more, neither shall they thirst anymore. Preach, preach.
It's one of the funnier ones.
I'm sure she got all of those parts on discount. Okay, pause it. Stop it right there. Hold on, right there.
Yeah.
Her butt so big, it make her handbag look tiny. Like I looked at it, I was like, why is her purse so damn small? Oh no, wait, that's a regular size purse. That's just an extra size ass.
She.
Her shoes little. I know her ankles struggling, holding up all that ass on them little shoes. Oh my God.
There's a bunch of, these, and there's some funny ones. But the one that hang on, let's see. The one that caught my attention, and not just mine, it basically broke the internet, was Sister Chloe Haley. Her and her sister have a what's it? It's Chloe and I forget her sister's name, but the Haley sisters. They're on the show Grownish.
I think it's Chloe and Haley Bailey. I think is the
Bailey. There you go.
The name of the
Chloe did the challenge.
The girls.
And I'll just share it with you real quick. Stand by. And she did the whole. First of all, she got new knees. So,
she don't have city miles on the knees.
She got city miles on them knees. She got brand new knees. Chloe is 22. I sent it to Mike. Your reaction to it was?
Okay,
I'll quote.
So
he quote. Mike quote wrote back to me when I sent him. I texted him to him. And his quote was cute. That was it.
Yeah. So, ooh. Let me put on my tap dance shoes so the police don't kick down my door and throw me in jail. In the first part of the Instagram video, because I have no idea who they are. I stopped watching Blackish. Like I said, I'm out of touch just in general. So I was like, oh, this is a little girl dressed up like her mother or something, right? Because she looks like a freaking 12-year-old when she's got on the bathrobe or whatever. And then she drops down and now she does not look like a 12-year-old. So the man part of me was like, oh, she looks good. The father part of me was like, ugh. It's just like, ugh.
Which brings me to the question. As we're on the nice side of 40, both of us, right? And Haley's 22. She's, by any means, she's a grown woman. But even still, she's like half our age. Should we feel some kind of way? So should you feel some kind of way when looking at younger women? You know what I'm saying? I took a call from a brother named Gabriel who had this to say.
No. We talking, you look like you in high school, turn them eyes, fight it, turn them eyes. You talking 22, you above age, man, God made it and said it was good. So I'm just going to say.
You quote the Bible, didn't
you? It was good. who am I to go against creation?
Quote the Bible on it.
I was just going to say, it was good. Celebrate. Hallelujah.
No, he didn't say celebrate hallelujah.
Celebrate. Hallelujah. My homie, my other friend Mike in Florida is like, yeah, we are officially dirty old men. It's like this seals it. But yeah, I felt I like you, and I sort of was like, okay, and then when the change happened, it's like, oh, wow, I shouldn't be looking at this.
It's the man part of me says, she's legal. Like, and not just her specifically, younger women in their 20s. And let's draw a line of distinction. 18 is legal. No way I would deal with anyone that's got a teen in their age, right? I don't even want to be in the same room unsupervised. So anybody might say something happened. Like we turning on the cameras. I need somebody sitting in the background, teen in the name. I don't want to be around you because you are problems. You are problems waiting to happen. Where your mama at? You go home with your mama.
Yeah.
20s, 22, 23, and everything under that in the 20s, that just feels too young. I mean, it just feels too young.
Well, I mean,
not even from a you can't listen to her talk and you can't be around her and what do you have in common? Not even from that, just age. It just feels too young.
Yeah. I'm sure some people have some things to say about this. R. Kelly would say, she got a pulse?
Get your raincoat.
No.
R. Kelly would say, cover your eyes. You don't want it to burn your eyes.
How are we talking? Really?
Yeah, God bless. And look, and there's a considerable portion of the red pill community who believes that after a woman turns 30, don't even bother.
Really?
They focus exclusively on women in their 20s.
That's interesting. That seems toxic. That seems toxic. That seems like, because a woman in her 20s. Now, okay, let me dance around this delicately. Not that, right? Not that they're not bright or smart or whatever, but experience would not put them up on game that an older man would be trying to pull or take advantage of. And so for the red pill to say, hey, once you hit 29 and a half, we done with you? That's crazy. Why would that be?
And I'm not saying not all red pill, but a considerable amount, right? Or a considerable amount that I have seen, right? So everything that I say is limited to my level of experience and moving in that space. But the answer to the question why, I've heard a number of reasons. The most common reason that I've heard, lower baggage, fertility.
Okay.
And generally speaking, lower body count.
Oh, shit. You okay. Yeah, all right. They're discounting the college years, apparently. Because
right.
I know some women that shall remain nameless, some folks I went to school with that had their whole phase from high school to college, what they refer to as the whole phase. And then goes, a lot of women went through it. In fact, I won't say her name, but there was a girl that I dated in high school that was a good girl. I didn't even as much get more than a kiss on the cheek. But when she got out of high school and went to college, let's just say she became the Oprah Winfrey of the cookie pass out. And you get some cookie, and you get some cookie, and you get some cookie. Everybody get some cookie. She doesn't deny this.
Oh, she should. She should deny it vehemently.
That was her whole face. That's what I'm saying. That was it. Any case, yeah, that's interesting.
Look, for me, it's weird because it feels particularly predatory.
Yeah.
It's and look, reversing it, right? If you said only date women 40 to 50, it feels particularly predatory, right? When you single out a group for a reason and that's all you go after, feels particularly predatory to me.
I think it depends on their age, who's setting this limit, and the intention. Like you said.
Fair enough. I hear what they say and why they say it. I think there is some merit to a lot of the reasoning. I just think that the thought process is myopic as fuck. And it doesn't allow for individual experience.
Yeah.
Because in my individual experience, I don't want nothing to do with somebody in their 20s. I don't. Yeah. And I've tried. What am I, 47 now? So maybe 4 years ago, I was still kind of dating a lot, and I went out with a few girls in their late 20s, and I was just like,
I mean, but 28 is a long distance from 25.
In terms of you would hope, right?
Well, yes. And definitely, and certainly, centuries away from 22.
Yes. I'm trying to think of a specific story of a 20-something. The girl from Peru was in her 20s. I was still in LA, so I was 40-ish. She was 27. From Peru in the US, hadn't been in the US very long, so she still had the accent, and she was absolutely gorgeous. She was so pretty that when I showed up, because we met online, when I showed up for the date, I remember looking at her and looking around. You want to go out with me, right? Like on a scale of 1 to 10, she was a 12. Like she was stunning. She was broke as a joke. She was giggly as fuck, and that kind of bugged me a little bit, but we got on well. Like the date started off slow. We got on well. I could tell she had been on a bunch of terrible dates because she started asking me what she could order. And I was like, get what you want, right? I mean, we were there for drinks and appetizers or whatever. Wasn't, I was like, get what you want.
She was double.
And she was like, are you?
She was double checking to see if, to make sure, to see what items came with dick on the menu. She was checking. She was.
That's every item. you get a side of dick with everything you order, goddammit.
We had dinner, right?
Another funny story. My brother, my brother once, he told a chick, they went out and she was looking at the menu, and he was looking at the menu, and he looked at her and he said, okay, just so you know, this is the fucking side of the menu. Anything you order from this side of the My brother was a savage in his dating days, but he's married now and he loves his wife, and they're great. And that was not his wife he told that to.
Because if it was, that story could have been, okay, really? So which side is the marriage side of the menu?
And that Negro would have been like, check, please. marriage side includes cleaning my dirty drawers and my nasty house. So back to Peruvian girl. So we're at this dinner. We have this dinner. We just order the drinks. She relaxes, dismantles. We're laughing. We closed down the restaurant.
Okay.
I had $40 in cash in my pocket. I paid the parking, which was something like $10 or $15. The rest of it I gave to the waiter because dude was on it. He was killing it. So I gave him all the cash I had in my pocket, and then I left something on the receipt too when I gave with the card. Mm-hmm. So she didn't have a car. It's midnight in downtown Los Angeles.
Okay.
So I was like, hey, look, I'll drive you home. And she was like, no, it's too soon. First date, boom, boom. Okay, cool. I was like, well, at least let me walk you to the train station, the bus station, wherever, train station. She's like, okay. So we're walking down the street in downtown LA. Out of nowhere comes this homeless guy. And he is like sitting on the ground, boo-hoo crying. And she wants to stop and have a conversation with this guy. And I'm like, okay. Fast forward, she is sitting on the ground with this dude. They're having a hug fest, and he's hustling for money, basically. So she looks at me to give him some money. I'm like, sweetheart, I have no more cash. I gave all my cash to the dude at the restaurant. So she gives him some cash. And now all of a sudden he ain't crying no more. And he's following us down the street. And he eventually goes away. I get to the train station. I go for the goodnight kiss, and her whole demeanor has changed now. Whole demeanor is different. I'm like, okay. Put her on the train. I walk back, get my car, drive home. The next day I get a message from her that says, yeah, I don't think this is going to work out. You were just insensitive to that person. And you weren't generous at all. And I just need to be with somebody who's in touch with their feelings and generous.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I had some choice words back for and some of which were
hold on, wait. I think I understand the sentiment. Might that be
basically? And this all started out of youth. I think it was the folly of her youth to see me standing and watching as not being in touch with my feelings and not being generous. We're on a street corner in LA at midnight, and you're sitting on the ground hugging a homeless person. I'm looking around for somebody else to come out of the corner to club us over the head and take all our shit. Right. So my job is to make sure you are safe.
Right.
I can't make sure you're safe when I'm hugging and crying with you and somebody that I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think she might have been the last 20 something I went out with. Oh no. Yeah, I got another story, but I'll save it for another time because she was 29, 28, the other one that I'm thinking about. But yeah, it's folly of youth. It's not understanding the world. Men and women are obviously going to have different lived experiences, but there's kind of a level of wisdom and information that comes with age that it's just for you to be involved in my time and my space. It's some shit I need you to understand. I ain't trying to teach you how it works.
Yeah.
You need to come to the table knowing, at the very least, knowing how it works. What my role is, what your role is, what we agree upon, how we maneuver that thing.
Yeah. Well, without going down an additional rabbit hole, I was going to say, from my understanding, I've heard from several different, people, and you know, and something I saw where certain Muslims believe that your mate should be half your age plus 7.
Oh no.
Yeah.
What is half of my age? 23 and a half plus 7. Yeah. Even I hate to say it, even for me now, 30 is too young.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like the last girl who will claim the title of girlfriend, when we started dating, she was 37. And I guess every 37 or 36-year-old woman isn't her. That's fair. But
Right.
I'll be goddamned if I didn't look at her like,
Again, experience, where she came up from. You know what I mean? Everybody, you know. But in case.
like, wait a minute. You mean I got to tell you to cook some shit when I'm coming over your house? I got to tell you that?
Well, again, okay, she had the last title of girlfriend, you said, right?
Yep. The
Okay.
last one.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. That's different then.
After that one, I was like, I'm done. I'm out.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
Done. I'll go out. I'll meet people, but titles and that kind of shit, not doing it. Not doing it.
Yeah. Cut buddies and side piece cut buddies could run any age, you know, within the legal spectrum.
Cut buddies, side piece cut buddies, jump offs, hangouts, to-dos,
Hookups.
drop-ins, fall throughs, hookups, Netflix and chills, hangout partners. Girlfriend? No. No. Sorry.
Well, it's been interesting. Again, folks, where we are anxious to hear your feedback on these topics and more. Feel free to drop us a line. We appreciate you listening. We appreciate you watching. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you tell a friend. Hit the notification bell. And go to our website, unpopinshow.com or unpopin.com. I say unpopinshow.com because we have all of those domains. So no matter how you spell it, unpopping, unpopping show, because I spelled it incorrectly on purpose. Because it's actually an acronym, an abbreviation of unpopular and
Opinion.
Correct. My brain just
It's all right.
folks, we appreciate you listening, appreciate you watching. Again, subscribe, tell a friend, chime in on the convo, chime in the comments below. If you want to get a little more, hit us up on email at unpopinshow@gmail.com. Or you can actually leave us a message on Instagram. You got the little button, the little mic button. If you direct message us, you can actually leave a message and we'll play it on the show. So many different ways to get at us and keep the Unpoppin community flourishing.
There it is.
Yeah.
And hang out for the after show. We got some more shit. There's some shit we didn't get to.
Yeah, man. Again, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Peace.
Need a daily dose of jokes? Like, subscribe, smash the notification button, and you'll get jokes in your inbox basically every week.
Absolutely. Because we like cats. No, that's the wrong. God damn it.